if you talk about digitalization, don't forget the people. Don't forget to involve them. If you want to eliminate your wastes in terms of lean, be aware that the best IoT solution is not digitalizing the waste. You can collect so much information, so much data, but in the end, you need to get something out of it. And you should be the one that is able, with the results, to act and then to improve.
Welcome to We Talk IoT, where we explore the ideas and impact behind AI-driven tech of the future and how data creates real business opportunities. To stay ahead of the innovation curve, subscribe to our newsletters on the Avnet Silica website. I am your host, Ruth Haydock. Most factories can't afford to rip out old equipment and start again, yet they do need data to compete. WeAssist from WERMA bridges that gap by turning existing signal towers into wireless IoT devices. No rewiring, no downtime, just retrofit intelligence that works with any manufacturer's equipment. My guest today is Armin Vogelsang, Senior Product Manager for WeAssist at WERMA, and we will discuss why going from 0 to 100 often fails and how a logistics company eliminated chaos by letting workers press a button instead of running through a hall. Welcome to We Talk IoT, Armin. I'm glad to have you.
Thank you very much for the invitation, Ruth. I'm also very happy to be here today.
Tell us a little bit about yourself. Who are you and what is it that you do at WERMA?
My name is Armin and I've been working for WERMA since quite a long time. I studied industrial engineering 2 decades ago, I think now. So It's already quite a long time.
It happens.
Yeah, and been working as a product manager here for WERMA over the last years. Since roughly 1.5 years now, we created a business unit for our product WeAssist. And WeAssist is a tool for companies to monitor their production, to monitor their logistics processes as a simple retrofit solution. And the company WERMA is coming from the field of industrial signaling, meaning visual management is very important for us. So beacons, sounders, horns. So always to alarm the people, to bring the right people to the right place. And with WeAssist, we are actually bringing that to the next level, connecting these signal devices as an IoT device, bringing the information of the signal light into the cloud and then also into the software, of course, and visualization for the customers.
Interesting. When manufacturers think about Industry 4.0, they always imagine greenfield smart factories with connected equipment everywhere. But most factories aren't like that. What does the average production floor actually look like?
Yeah, and that is, I think, the biggest problem that companies usually have. They start from zero, usually, or they start from very simple processes. So if you look at a normal production floor, I can also look at our own company here, medium-sized company, 400 employees working here, and we have different areas in the production. You will see manual workplaces, a lot of manual assembly still going on in all those companies. You will see very modern areas where we have electronics manufacturing, or you will see modern CNC machines, tools, and injection molding machines. And the first idea that people usually have is to go 100% for the digitalization. Modern machines, IoT interfaces like OPC UA, MQTT, you connect your hardware right away and basically you can go down into the machine on the sensor level. You see temperatures, you see velocities, pressures, and so on. But the reality really is a different one. You will find old machinery, sometimes machinery from the 60s, old punching machines and things like this, and they don't really have an interface. And also, if you look at different machines from different manufacturers, they also come with different standards. And even if it is advertised to be very easy to connect them all in one big system, it can be really a bit of a pain. And the manual workplaces, the manual processes, that's something that people usually don't think about, even though they are crucial for a successful process improvement and digitalization in the factories.
Okay. And you and your team are working on a solution called WeAssist. And it's supposed to transform existing signal towers into IoT devices. How does that work?
It's a very simple process. We have a camera here, so I show you just the signal tower. It's a traffic light, basically, with the traffic light colors. You can switch it on, you can switch it off. So very simple. This traffic light usually indicates the most important states of a machine or a workplace. Is everything operational? Is there uptime? Is everything running? Or maybe a red light indicating for downtime and problems. It is a very important info. If I'm the production manager, I look at my shop floor and I see red and green and I have an understanding of what's going on. But it's a view that changes every second, basically. And with WeAssist, we add a very simple radio transceiver to that signal tower. It's a small radio device that monitors the states of the machine by monitoring the lights that are on top. And this information then is transferred to a central receiver. And that receiver is connected to the internet, pushing the information of up to 300 machines and workplaces into the cloud-based system, and then, of course, making it available for visualization and analytics on our web app. And this is the very simple retrofit way. The radio device that you connect to the signal towers, it's basically industrial radio, 868 megahertz. So we are not connecting each and every device to the customer's Wi-Fi, which is also sometimes a little bit difficult nowadays with cybersecurity and IT security that the people are taking care of a lot. So we are building up our own infrastructure with the signal tower being our edge device, basically, the device that is connecting the workplace and the machine to the internet.
And I'm thinking about the advantages of this approach. Obviously, budget comes to mind versus ripping out old equipment and installing smart machines. You mentioned something like a low barrier entry into the world of IIoT. What other advantages are there to this approach?
Yeah, the low entry, of course, is the most important one, the retrofit. You see that signal devices everywhere on the shop floors. You just put in that small radio device and basically you're ready to go. The important part here, or the big advantage that we see in the discussion with our customer, is that the manual processes, so the people, are also included. Basically, you can imagine a manual workplace. The employee there is having a problem, can just push a button, the red light goes up, and some other person, the supervisor or some maintenance crew, directly receives a push notification on a mobile phone or sees on the screen that there is actually a problem happening, and you can directly react to that. All of our clients, that is the starting point usually, they are taking care of their production processes. They want to be more efficient. They want to be leaner, as we say. And being lean, of course, requires, first of all, a lot of transparency. And being lean is also always linked to the production philosophy of Toyota. So what we usually try to avoid are the so-called wastes of lean. And to remember them, basically, I always use this acronym Tim Woods. And Tim Woods actually stands for transport, inventory and motion, which is a lot of wastes can come from there. Too much material on the wrong place, too much motion of material, too much motion of people. And then we have Woods, which basically stands for waiting. So people are waiting for the right people to arrive, are waiting for the right material or production resources. The O, the two O's, one is over-engineering. It's also a little bit of a German topic, to be honest.
That's why I'm laughing.
I mean, that's also a thing as a product manager. I also had to consider to keep that a little bit lower sometimes. And overproduction, to produce too much for the stock, for instance. Of course, in the end is the defects. And the S stands for skills unused, which also puts the people basically in focus. We try to bring transparency into the processes, and then in the next step for the customer to reduce these wastes, not only to reduce costs by doing so, which is of course also a topic, but to have a very stable and a high quality production process. In that Toyota management idea, basically there is always the customer in focus. So if we reduce something, we're not doing it to bring down costs. We are doing it to improve our product quality and to deliver the right product to the right people.
Maybe we can dive into a use case. We have a lot of things to unpack now, like you mentioned lean production, you managed wastes that are identified in a customer's. I think you have a very nice example of a logistics company where you can maybe walk us through how this process then worked.
Yeah, we have a nice use case. Our customer is a logistics center that is shipping, for instance, washing machines, this kind of machinery for household. And of course, specifically if there is Black Week or if there is close before Christmas, there's a lot of action going on in these logistics centers. Can imagine.
Guilty.
Yeah, me too, to be honest. And we have different loading docks there in this logistics center to basically fill those trucks that are at the loading docks. People are storing the material right before the docks. And if the truck arrives, the material is delivered into the truck, but nobody really knows when the truck is full. Actually, the worker there has to call for the supervisor to give the green light that the truck is ready to leave. And what we are now doing with WeAssist, we install these traffic light signal towers on each of those loading docks together with a simple push button box and our radio device, our IoT device. And as soon as the truck is ready for departure, the employee at the dock can push the button for the supervisor to arrive. The supervisor directly sees on his mobile phone, dock number 5, for instance, is ready for departure, can come over, sign the documents, and directly the truck is off and ready to go. And the people, of course, they are available now for new duties. And before that, basically everybody was shouting, was looking for the right people, running around. And now we are steering basically the traffic of people in this area, and also with the signal tower not indicating only digitally, but also visually. So there's always the light that also indicates that the truck is ready to leave, for instance.
The communication is really clear because everybody knows the signals of a traffic light, right? It's just unmistakably, you just know what to do, right?
Absolutely. And it's completely universal. That is also a topic. We try to keep it simple that way because sometimes spoken language is also difficult. You can imagine in these logistics centers, people from many different countries are working there. Maybe the German is not so easy to understand for them. Not everybody can speak English. So basically we are communicating with simple signals that everybody can understand.
And what results did they see? I imagine that if you stop people from running around a logistics hall, the results should be seen really quickly, right?
Absolutely. The results will be seen. So basically people don't have to go too many miles, let's say it that way. They can directly focus also on preparing the next shipment, for instance. So basically, if one truck now is ready for departure, the button is pushed and then the person can directly go to the next loading dock, start again with the filling and loading the next truck. So basically everything comes to a very nice structured approach now. Not too much shouting, not too much running around. Also, the storage areas are more tidy now because actually the flow of material is more clear and more stable, which is also, again, one of the wastes of lean to reduce that inventory at these areas.
And it also makes it more secure for the workers as well.
For sure. For sure, you can imagine the forklift traffic and people running around. Personally, I have to be honest, if I go to these areas, I'm always a little bit afraid because there is still, I mean, luckily there's not too much happening, but the forklift traffic can really be crazy. And this, of course, helps a lot. What we also are doing, not at this particular customer, but at other logistics centers, is to have also vocal alarms that we can trigger. It's like an MP3 player, you can say. So basically, for instance, if the button is pushed, the push notification is sent to the right person. And if this person does not react in time or might not be available in this case, potentially after 2 minutes or so, a melody will be played or some voice message will be activated to also address to other people that might be in the area that might be ready for helping. So it's always the approach on one side to be digital, to see everything also on the mobile. For the supervisors, it's not only the push notification to understand where they have to go, but they can also see for how long that light has already been switched. They can see in the end, if they want to run analytics on that, how often, for instance, specific calls have been done. Or you can also identify then your bottlenecks. If there is loading docks that usually cause problems, or if there is some kind of misproportion in the use of the loading docks, you can balance everything now with the data that you have available.
You also mentioned user acceptance in the beginning as critical. How did the logistics company convince its workers to use the system, or was it a no-brainer?
In this case, of course, at the beginning, it's always discussions. I mean, it's a normal change process, to be honest. And change comes sometimes difficult for the people. If they have the feeling, if you and me, we have the feeling that somebody wants to monitor us, wants to see what we are doing, wants to see if we are efficient or not, that always comes with a little bit of a grain of salt, let's say it that way. I think transparency is the key here, to let the people know what you intend to do, what your intentions really are, and also to show them that in this specific case, for instance, the use of this tool makes their life a lot easier. So basically the shouting, the running, that was never convenient for the people there. And now with this simple additional approach, this new process involved, it became pretty clear for them that this is also an advantage for themselves. But clear communication, also clear communication about the intention. Why are we doing some things? Why do we want to implement a system that gives us transparency here is something that everybody can or should make use of. That's the key to it. And then if the people see the benefit for themselves, of course, then it's going in the right direction. Sometimes it even leads to a certain gamification. We have, that's more for production monitoring, where you can use the system as well. Sometimes we see that workplaces have some kind of internal battle, who's the more efficient, the faster, and so on. But you have to give the people the feeling that it's not about reducing or maybe cutting their workplace in the end or something.
That's the first fear that always comes to mind.
Absolutely.
Going back to the concept of lean production, you manage the 8 types of waste, Tim Woods. Is there a waste that manufacturers typically find most surprising when they start monitoring with WeAssist?
Yeah, what they find very surprising is, for instance, the waiting time. So you can imagine your machine has a malfunctioning, there is downtime happening, and usually the people don't really know since what time that machine is on error. And now with WeAssist, they can easily see the red light is now active, the machine stands still for maybe half an hour. In the past, if there is a night shift or shifts on the weekend where not so many people are around, it can take sometimes hours until it's identified that there is a problem on one machine. That is the first impression that we usually get, that people are totally surprised how much more productivity they can gain by reacting quickly. Nobody knew how long the machine stood still beforehand, and now it's transparent. That is the most simple approach, and it's the most surprising for most of these people.
And you also mentioned going from 0 to 100 usually doesn't work, but I suppose many clients still approach it that way. Where, in your opinion, would you start? What should they do instead?
In our opinion, they should, first of all, have, let's say, an overall view on their production site. Sometimes the requests for digitalization come from a specific area, let's say the newest production area, new investment in machinery. They want to start right away with digitalization, but they don't keep in mind that the company consists of so many other areas that also need to be digitalized and monitored. Therefore, I suggest usually have a look at your complete production site, have a look on your manual processes also, and then start ideally with a system that gives you very low entry hurdles, so that you can really start, maybe also, why not, in a limited area to get a feel for if it's working or not, and then start and roll it out all across your facility. The problem with going too deep is usually that it is super expensive. If you want to have an IoT project or IIoT project for monitoring all of your machines in the company, this can easily take you years. It can cost you a fortune. the project management will consume a lot of time of your internal and, of course, of external employees. So that's also a problem there, because everybody has already 100% job. And now this project comes on top. So we try to bring that hurdle quite low so that you can start with it. Usually by doing so, you will get the original Pareto, 80-20. You have 20% of the effort and you will get 80% of the results.
Okay.
You will see productivity, you will see uptime, downtime. And then if you want to go deeper, you're free to do so. Let's do that. If you have modern machines, invest in those IoT systems that can give you all the insights on that. But be aware that, in my opinion at least, IoT systems are always a mix of different components. There will never be like that one IoT platform that will cover everything. And I think that's a big learning that I had myself. I remember that companies like Siemens and other big players, they wanted to bring their IoT solution in the market, a big platform that is the only one to be used. But that's not happening actually. And we need to have small systems that interact together. So basically interfaces, APIs, that's the key.
Terrific. Beyond manufacturing and logistics, are there any other industries that would benefit from WeAssist?
Yeah, basically, I mean, the manufacturing and the logistics is the most important part where we are going into. What you can also imagine, because it's simple traffic lights, you can use it also for facility management. You can monitor, for instance, doors that are open or not open. You can see entrance gates and doors that you're monitoring. So all those topics are easily to be covered. Frankly speaking, manufacturing, is it with machines or manual, and the logistics processes, those are basically the most important fields that we are working in.
Before we wrap up this episode, is there anything I haven't asked you that you wish I had asked you?
You asked a lot of very interesting questions, Ruth. And maybe not a question, but I would just like to emphasize that involving the people and keeping in mind that there is so much manual work going on and so many people working in companies. If you talk about digitalization, don't forget the people. Don't forget to involve them. If you want to eliminate your wastes in terms of lean, be aware that the best IoT solution is not digitalizing the waste. You can collect so much information, so much data, but in the end, you need to get something out of it. And you should be the one that is able, with the results, to act and then to improve.
Fantastic. If you had to put together a soundtrack for this episode, what song would you put on it?
I like that question, actually. I thought about that. I think I will go for the Queens of the Stone Age.
Okay.
No One Knows.
Oh.
And this is a really nice song. I like it. I'm more for the harder sounds. And the Queens of the Stone Age, a band that I visited a few times on concerts. And No One Knows. That's usually the answer to the question, do you know what's happening in your production site at the moment? And this, of course, we want to change with our IoT solutions.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Armin, for being on the show and sharing all your practical insights. It was really refreshing to hear about IoT implementation that actually works and keeps the humans in the center of things. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you very much, Ruth, for the invitation. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you for listening to We Talk IoT. Stay curious and keep innovating.